Well, thank you, Chairwoman Schakowsky. Thank you for organizing this hearing on how drug companies are gaming the system. Consumers know this. I hear it all the time from the families who I represent back home in Florida. They are paying astronomical amounts of money for their prescription drugs, and it's unconscionable in America that drug prices are so high that it's driving some families into bankruptcy and into debt. And in many cases, these drug prices are artificially high. Drug companies are gaming the system, and as our witnesses have illuminated, and I want to thank you all for your illuminating testimony, brand name drug companies engage in this outrageous, monopolistic practice known as product hopping. Product hopping occurs when one pharmaceutical company's drug is about to lose its government-guaranteed exclusivity, so the company introduces a slightly different drug with the purpose of keeping much cheaper drugs, generic drugs, out of the market. And this practice has gotten so harmful that the Federal Trade Commission and the courts have stepped in to stop it, and now we need to develop some legislative remedies as well. Manufacturers are doing this in order to delay or altogether frustrate competition against their products, and consumers are paying the price. Let's focus, let's talk about a real-world example. The drug Namenda that's used to treat dementia associated with Alzheimer's. A recent court found that Forest Laboratories, the manufacturer, had engaged in both a soft switch and a hard switch to thwart generic competition. The case revealed that Forest acknowledged that it would convert patients and caregivers to a once-a-day therapy versus a twice-a-day therapy if it made a hard switch, and most troublingly, that they knew this. It's very difficult then when a generic is introduced to get the patients to convert back. So the market analysis uncovered that in the Namenda proceedings, Forest Labs' own data showed that a soft switch in their case would switch only 30% of patients to the newer, more expensive product, but the hard switch would move 80 to 100% of patients. Forest Labs, in this case, actively and brazenly sought to undermine generic uptake. In reality, this meant that Forest Labs unfairly profited off of Alzheimer's patients. This is what's going on, and this is unconscionable. So I want to ask our witnesses for their help. Mr. Carrier, could you please describe the kind of behavior that constitutes a hard switch again, and maybe give us another example?
Sure. So a hard switch is when the drug company removes the old version from the market. And so there are several cases that involve this. The Dorix case, the acne drug in the Third Circuit, involved the brand company pulling the old version off the market. The hard switch, the old one's gone. The soft switch, the old one technically remains on the market.
So Dr. Shepard, you had, in your testimony to us, you highlighted a possible remedy, a possible fix for this. Is there a downside for consumers if a hard switch approval is delayed until after the generic is introduced on the market?
No, there's not a downside for if it's just after the window and generics have been able to come in. There shouldn't be much of a downside for consumers.
And there's nothing in the law that regulates that now.
No.
Is that right?
Yes.
So, Chair Schakowsky, I'd recommend that for your bill as you develop it. That seems to be one answer. Mr. Carey, do you agree?
So I have offered in my scholarship a generic window that is very important, because if the brand company makes a change at a time that you don't expect the generic to be on the market, I say it should be automatically legal. And so my window is a bit different than Professor Shepard's, but I do want to give the brand every benefit of the doubt when there's no generic about to enter the market.
Thank you very much, and I yield back.